My name is Steve Ocampo. I own Beacon Irrigation and Lighting. We're over here in the backyard of a large-scale, high-end residential irrigation installation in Palm Beach County. The backyard is going to have two systems. It's going to have a traditional pop-up irrigation system with low-angle rotaries to help establish the Cashmere Zoysia sod that's going to be going down. Once the sod is established, utilizing the overhead traditional irrigation, we go and convert it over to the drip system that's going to be under the sod. We elected, between the owner and the architect, elected to have the traditional irrigation system for the added benefit of being able to irrigate the perimeter of the landscaping that's adjacent to the sod areas. This is all obviously salt-tolerant plant material. You really don't want to have that salt on there in periods of extended drought. So the irrigation will be able to, the traditional irrigation system, the pop-up rotors, will be able to be set to rinse all the plant material that's adjacent to the sod areas. All right, right now we're on the subsurface installation of the project. We're installing all of our PVC Class 160 piping underground, which lays the underground grid for the sprinkler system. Again, this site is going to have essentially two systems. It's going to have a traditional irrigation system with the pop-ups, which requires their own piping. Then you have the grid that's going to be underneath, which is the drip grid, and that's going to have its own series of piping all underground. We're hand digging the areas that we cannot get by machine due to underground obstacles. Once we get past those areas, we bring our equipment in, trenchers primarily, and trench the rest of the grid out. But we do take care to make sure we don't hit any septic areas. We do call our locates in to make sure we don't hit any of your phone lines. A lot of companies don't do this, but it's our policy to make sure that we visually inspect every line that's out here, be it electric line, phone lines, cable lines. A lot of companies, they mark them, locate companies mark them with flags. Other contractors just take that as word. We actually dig down the 2-3 feet to do a visual inspect to make sure we know that those wires are there. They got two different sizes of PVC for this portion of the job. There's 1 inch and 3/4 down from the valve. The standard practice is to lay all your pipes, lay all your fittings, make sure everything's right above ground, glue it, then you drop everything in the trenches, cover them up. These pipes do have to be inspected for a whole series of codes, making sure you're using proper glue, proper cleaner, proper fittings, proper pipe depth, type of pipe. So all that needs to be inspected. Inspectors on site will go over there, tap on the shoulder, say, hey, we're ready for inspection. He comes over, approves it, then we cover it up. Over here you have your control wires, and this is all 14 gauge single strand direct burial copper wire. And all these wires get put into the controller. Each one of these wires corresponds to a valve in the field. That valve operates a given square footage of area. And then the controller does the rest from there. It programs frequency of the valves, frequency of watering, duration of watering, days of watering. Also, these controllers that we're putting on this job, they also have a Cat 6 wire, which is an Ethernet type wire. These controllers are going to be able to be monitored via internet and not at this particular residence. I can do it from my house on a Sunday and log into their particular site and determine if the water ran, if they had a break. We're going to be able to monitor the drip tubing, especially where you really can't see it. It's just drip tubing under the ground. If you got a break, it's going directly into the ground. Even though it is subsurface, it's very difficult to see. It's not as obvious as the geyser up in the air. So it's very important for these types of these drip systems, to have this type of controller that you can monitor the water usage. More importantly, you can monitor from somewhere other than being on that site. Every day as part of your routine, as far as an irrigation contractor, you want to check all your sites and make sure that all the sites that you're maintaining or currently working on don't have any significant pipe breaks. In this area, they actually have 15 feet down a freshwater aquifer that's actually pristine water due to the fact that it's got a sand base on top, which acts as a great filter. You've heard of sand media filters. The water gets filtered naturally through the sand and settles on top of a rock base and creates a little aquifer. So not all well drillers know about this aquifer. I went through 3 different well contractors to find out the one that specializes in this area and guaranteed the flows and at the flows that we require to run the irrigation system. Also, you can't have any salt, obviously, in the water, which is the main thing here, is salt water intrusion. So the reason we don't put the wells right next to each other is so that we don't overdraw the pocket that we're working in. So we put another well on the other side of the site, and then we can pretty much guarantee that we're not going to overdraw any specific cavity of water that we're drawing off of. So over here you have the PVC well tap that's 15 feet deep. Here's the pump pad, controller, and all the pump controllers are going to go on the wall with your appropriate rain catch and rain sensor devices. Tap the pump right into the well, and that's going to be our primary water source. I mean, the homeowner has a big investment in the landscaping that they've installed with the sod, the turf, the shrubs, and all the trees that we've preserved. So in the event that we do have saltwater intrusion during a storm surge or a hurricane, we had to design this system on the worst case scenario, which was the city water source. Obviously that is quite expensive to run a property of this size on strictly city water. That's why we elected to go with the 2 pumps and wells. But in the event that does happen, we do have a city water source that we can turn to that's actually physically disconnected, because you get into backflow problems. You don't want to have well water pulling out of the ground and have it physically tied in through some piping somewhere into the potable water supply. It has to be a physical disconnect. So in the case that one of these pumps or wells goes down, we have to go over there and physically connect the 2 pipes, disconnect the pumps, and have it just run off city water.